Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Today is a fantastic day for us and for you as well. We will be bypassing the entire land registry system globally, and we will enable you to register your property under your name using your own serial number, which will give you full Lloydial titleship. I use the word titleship sparingly, but that's essentially what we were doing. Because as you know, the county court recorders and the courts are so corrupt that they think that they can steal people's property any which way they want. All this nonsense is coming to an end, of course, thanks to what the Canadian truckers are doing, that's now taken hold all over the world. So I'm going to just introduce Hugh, that's going to talk to us how this system works and what you can do. And Alpha here will be helping us out with some basic questions as a layperson, as it were. Okay. Now, do pay meticulous attention because this has never been, we have no known history of anybody doing anything like this. We are going to bypass the land registries or land logs all around the world, the county recorder's office, and the pathetic coroner's office who has recorded men and women as being dead. Okay, dead on paper. So I'm going to hand it over now to Hugh. So Hugh, please tell us, what is this land log system? How can they safeguard their properties? What value is it? And how, if they wanted to do it, how would they get into it?
Okay, thanks for the question, Mark. Yes, so this land log, in previous videos that we've done, we've demonstrated that it's a salvage exercise for the current registration on the fiction land registry. So anybody who has a live life claim or a claim of their life in the factual can log their lands and properties. That includes personal properties, equipment, caravans, boats, etc. On this log. And I will go through this log, the live one, for demonstration of how it flows, and to answer the other questions. What can people do? Well, they can log on to this live domain and do their logging. So it's straightforward, but some things I need to point out as we go through. So if you permit, I can share my screen for the audience to have a look. So I'll just do it right now. Okay.
Can I ask a question? Because I need to do these things as alpha, as lay people, okay? That we're fresh to this and we're confused. What's the importance of a live life claim? Why do I need one of that?
Okay. So at the moment, most, in fact, all of people's lands, properties, that is, plans and properties are in the incorrect name. In other words, it's in their nom de guerre or all capital, all upper caps name. And that is actually a corporation, a legal, fiction corporation, which they weren't born with from the start. And so we've done a talk on tenants on the land, tenancy. So what a lot of people might think they have control or own the land that their house is built on is actually not correct. And so with a live life claim, just like the lands that we're salvaging, they're salvaging their own vessel, which is a physical body. And
I think I'm
that's
starting
what,
to understand it. Okay, so legal fiction people can't own anything real, I take it. They can only own things in the fiction world with fiction money, fiction paperwork, fiction name, fiction courts, and etc. Am I getting it right?
Yes, yes. Fiction names uh, do not cannot talk, cannot contract, and basically they're just controlled by the system. So whatever they put that upper cap name to be, whatever, whether it's a tenant or somebody or servant, whatever, that's what they'll get. Whereas real factual people, man and woman, living man and woman, can own because they have dominion over the things around them on the physical plane. So that's why it's important, and this is why it's so unique. This log never been done in history.
No, known history. I've got to say
Known
that
history,
known history.
known history. There might have been something in the past like equivalent to this, but this is going to be very efficient and on a global scale. So this is a very strong and bold move to correct the wrongs at the moment across the globe with a lot of digitization. People think that having that is very cool and trying to save paper and everything like that. But as we've discussed in previous talks, there is some value in the audit trail of a certificate of title, and they basically abolished that, which takes a lot of people's rights and privileges away. So they're revaluing it, and there's a lot of reasons and probably plans around that, which we won't talk about because that deserves another discussion. But we're just going to concentrate on the very mechanics of today.
Thank you. I suppose that's how BlackRock is successfully buying up so many people's houses as legal fiction, because people are not educated on land titles, lloydal titles, what titles mean. And can I just point out one thing people need to know? When somebody gives you a title, that's a legal fiction, like Mr., Sir, a judge, Reverend, and all these things, doctors, and any title that's ever given can be taken away. Mustafa taught me that yesterday. Any title that's given can be taken away, and that's how they're doing it. Well, we're taking your title away and the lands that go with it, because lands are titles. There you hold the title on it under the coloring of the law. I'm not going to speak anymore, so I'm going to hand it straight over to you. Did you have something, Alpha?
Not at the moment.
Okay.
Okay. Great. let's go in, shall we? Everyone's excited about that. All right. I'm excited. It's taken quite a number of months, and I am just part of that. So can you see my screen?
Yes, I can see your screen.
So you can see here that this is the home page, and it talks about, and I won't go through the content, but people can log in and have a look. And this is, by the way, this is public now, so it's been live for a while.
What's the website address?
Oh, it's www.fpc, which is short for Federal Postal Court, -global-land-property-log.com. Yeah.
Thank you.
So yeah, so everyone jotting that one down. So it's quite yeah, it says it all actually with global land property log. Now property it covers a lot of things, personal properties as well, cars and things like that, many of them. Okay, so the about pages talks about the history and what this log is all about, and the purposes behind that, and the visions and the missions. So people can study this and see what it's all about. But basically, as I repeated, this is a salvage process with 1 year, 1 day. And this is publicly making it known to all.
Yeah.
So those
Can I
people.
question you? Can I question you on that?
Yes.
What's got 1 year, what's 1 year, 1 day got to do with anything? What's that mean?
So under the salvage convention, and this is my understanding of it, and please add more, Alpha and others who. So they allow 1 year, 1 day if you are going to take something or claim something. In the past where someone would occupy a land, they'll have it there. They'll change things in there like a lock or whatever, but until somebody comes up and makes a counterclaim or a higher claim, they basically got 1 year, 1 day to do that, and anything beyond that, it's basically no non-controversy. So
I
it's a
think I
reasonable.
understand. So
Yeah.
let's put it in simple terms. Under salvage law, because we're all under maritime law, if I lost my wallet and Alpha found my wallet, he can't keep it, but he has to advertise it or give it to the police station. And if I don't collect it after 1 year and 1 day, Alpha gets to keep the wallet on salvage claim and finders keepers. Yeah, is that correct?
Yes, and you said it well. Finders keepers.
Okay, so since we know BlackRock and no corporations can hold title to land or own anything factual, if they don't come forward as factual people, then the land, of course, is settled for settlement, and their houses and so on and so forth, because nobody's come forward to say that, hey, that land belongs to us. Well, if it belongs to you, prove it to us. Well, we can't prove it, but it belongs to us. At this moment, the registrar and the landlogs, what they call land property registrars, anybody can go in and say, we're going to take a lien out on your property. As long as you go through a prostitute called a solicitor, they'll give them that claim unless you dispute it. And most people don't check their land registries, so they don't know it's standing, and before you know it, they've lost their house. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you.
I've heard of. Yes, I've heard of cases.
Yeah.
I've heard of cases where they trumped up something and people failed to exercise that standing.
That's
and
it.
they
Trumped
lose it.
up. Yeah, trumped up charges. Yes, Alpha.
Can I just ask what is the mechanics of the word salvage? Because when you say salvage to a person, they normally think of salvaging something out of the sea or in something that's been damaged. How is salvage applicable to a property when there is no damage and so forth?
My understanding of salvage in the word salvage is the word save or salvation. So it's more.
Okay.
It's more to do with correcting the wrong and saving it from being exploited.
Yeah.
So a lot of people think like when you have a car crash and you say, let's salvage that, it's more like repairing it to make it back to order. But here the land, there's no damage on the land. Even if you bomb the land, it's still there. You don't bomb it out of existence.
Okay.
It's more like I'm gonna have to save it because somebody else is taking it. Because I have the right and because I'm a living vessel, a living man, woman, I have the ability and capacity with the correct status to salvage that. because my dead fiction, straw man, some people call it, cannot do that. He cannot contract, he cannot speak or even make a claim. So I'm going to do that, and that's really what this whole concept about salvage is. Yeah.
Because we taught one side of what the language is in the word salvage is like from destruction and all that, and they keep us in the dark about what you just explained.
Yes.
Thanks.
I initially thought that the word salvage is like, oh, something's bad and we have to fix it or repair it, because they use that a lot in the smash repair car industry. Mm-hmm. But in the land salvage, it's actually saving it. Preserving it is the other, bad word for it. But you understand the word preservation, protecting, preservation. Yeah. Okay. So, Mark, you have any questions? If I'll continue.
No, I need to let you get on with it, and then I'll ask the questions later.
No problem. So once they go through that, the people can go into this next tab, which is where they can enter in their claim. Through and it's live as well. Now, we used a form in the past outside of this, but now it's embedded into this domain website. So they can go through all those questions, and I won't go through all of it, but it's very detailed. Like, it asks a lot of things about the land, and also proving your claim on it from the other side, from the registry.
May I question you on it, Hugh? I'm sorry to stop you. I'll stop you when I ever got question.
That's okay.
This type of information, okay, it's private and it's kept safe. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Full stop. The other element is that, how long will this take me to fill out, and will I be able to have all the documents at hand without waiting for the banks or anything like that to give me documents, as it were? How long does it take for me to fill this out, and will I have problems providing proof?
All right, that's a very good question, Mark. I'll some of the previous registrants have complained about the length of time that they need to go through and the hoops and they have to jump. One of the biggest problem that I have observed is getting the paperwork from the some of them use conveyancing, some of them use solicitors, the one that sold the property to them. And it seems that there's a common trend when they ask for the certificate of title, they'll either stall it or they say, we haven't got it. Because factually, some of them actually are being destroyed. Now, that's a felony. They're destroying the certificate of title, and these people have actually unfortunately paid off their mortgages.
Yeah. So can I stop you again? I'm
sure.
I know that I'm very pushy, is because I need to ask these questions. Okay. Look, if I destroy the title to your house, then there's no way for you to prove to anybody that you own the title.
Correct.
I mean, that's a very frightening position to be in. So BlackRock, that multi-trillion dollar company that's been given, I think, for $5.5 trillion printed off by the Federal Reserve, is going around buying people's houses on the back of money that they don't have, because they know that the title has been destroyed, and they're essentially giving you a smooth ride out and not to make any noise and to seize your property. Would that be correct? Because if you don't have title to it, then it's ready for settlement. And in South Africa, thousands of people what they call white South Africans, black and colored South Africans being pushed out of their homes, their lands, and so on and so forth, because they don't know about title, and the solicitors, which are prostitutes, and the courts, which are foreign to their country, which are totally corrupt, called fiction courts, admiralty courts, are holding their titles and telling them to F off, as they are doing in so many countries. I mean, this is what we're up against, and this is what we're trying to save people from. So I know I've answered my own question and didn't give you a chance to answer it, but am I thinking in the right terms?
Yes, I can add comments to what
Please do.
you say. This is to make it more, shall we say, the word is efficient in the reaping of those titles, because they've made it digital and it's a press of a button rather than going through the paper trail. Now, we know that the paper trail certificate of title is in the incorrect name, the upper caps name, but there is some value in terms of the audits and the controls, because when you generate a certificate of title, they do have security features on those documents, and also unique, like a unique identifier, so that there is integrity in terms of the certificates. And so I see that as some value. But now they are destroying evidence, which is a felony. And then using other agents to do that. And that's one of so to answer the question in terms of how long this will take, it really depends. If somebody already has their certificate of titles and they already asked for it, and it's unencumbered, the lands is unencumbered in terms of the financial debts on it, then it will be quite simple. They will go through and they will upload the various things that this questionnaire asks. And
I
that
also
will
would
be
like
it.
to point out one more thing, that if a man or a woman has lived in a place for over a year, they already have settlement to it, whether there are so-called incumbents or not, because the so-called death pledge company, called a mortgage company, or a solicitor called a prostitute, or the county courts, which are foreign to your country, called admiralty courts, they have never made claim to your land or property, have they? It's all done by presumption and assumption. Would I be correct?
100% correct.
Yeah, and
100% correct.
we call that settlement. Settlement.
Yes.
Okay.
And this venue is a proactive shall we say, strategy or action, or in place that you can do to make the claim, rather than let their presumption and assumption placed upon you. So that's why it's important. And the second scenario for the difficulties is people, when they search for information, some of these can be old, some of these can be more than 10 years. And they just got to have to look through, say, surveyor's plan and other search. If they have problems getting the proof, they might want to log on to their lands office in their jurisdiction, and just buy one of the reports that they give when you enter the lot number, parcel number. That would be the first point of call. If I was doing that, if they can't get through that, then they have to ask the question: what happened to their land?
As far as I know, you have produced a video where people can look at and understand how it works to fill this form out, how to get forms, and that sort of stuff. Am I correct in that?
Yes.
There is a step-by-step guide to do this. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, so here's the next part that is going to be interesting. So the next two tabs shows the salvaged lands and properties. So here is one of the, here it is. So these are those properties, and we
Can I pause a minute?
yes, Mark.
Is this make believe or is it for real?
Oh, that's for real. It's for real.
People have already logged in. People
Yeah.
are already safeguarded their properties, and it's in Australia, America, and England. There is even a road here, which I actually, not a road, but an area which I know called Rumford. Yeah, wow, this is
Okay.
quite incredible.
Now we do not show the name of the owners for confidentiality reasons, but these are real correct properties in existence with living people as in there. So
But if
so I just,
if they wanted to have their names in, can they have their names in?
they can.
Okay, that's good.
We've just used a serial number claim as an identifier, unique identifier, but we've hidden the name of the owner.
I have another question for you,
Sure, Mark.
which is how that I thought the whole thing of people registering their properties with the county court or the land registries, when you register something, you actually surrendering it to their jurisdiction. So what's the point of me putting my property into this? What's the point of it if I'm registering it with you? I don't get it. That means you are now owning my property.
No, that's not correct. We are the central hub database to have this publication, and the Lodial land title and the control goes to the people, not me or the court. So we are a central hub of this information. So
the serial number and it's all self-registered, I take it, to the people to themselves.
to the people to themselves, they control it. We don't.
Thank God for
We
that.
don't hold it. No.
Can I just add something?
Yeah.
Sure.
Hugh, what are the safeguards in your system with concerning GDPR and other people getting hold of your information?
So
with GDPR, that's the government system of their own system. This is an entirely different system. And these are the things that they are doing voluntarily with us. We don't come under that title because that's the title that they create. But this is the information that they give us, and it's private to us.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's one. And the fail-safes, as far as I know, what Hugh has is a crack-proof system that allows that information to be held with the permission of the people involved. That's what this is, that we provide the hub. So nobody can get hold of any information. Words like GDPR and all this sort of stuff, they are part of the fiction world to make sure that you don't control your own self, and you don't form your own governments, and you don't form your own cooperatives, and so on and so forth. This is a private log for private people to display, if they wish, to the entire world that particular location with that serial number is unique, and they are registering it to themselves, but using our hub, this hub, to advertise it as such.
Okay.
Well said, Mark. This and the data is also securely safe offline as well, backed up every day. So every day there are people logging on to this, so we have to always back it up, and that's so it's a security. Data security is a big high importance on our safeguards, because this is people's private information, and lots of other images that they put through. So yeah.
Okay.
So you could say that we're the fiduciary of that information, of that data, and the central hub for would you say the single source of truth and correctness in terms of lands and properties.
Yeah, got it now. Thanks.
Yep. And so this log is unlike any others. It's in the correct punctuated language, and things that's given on here is, like for example, GPS coordinates, is very precise, and you don't find that in the fiction log.
Do you,
No.
as far as I know, when you spoke to me about it, you have some sort of interactive map, as it were, to show you
Oh,
where
yes.
these claims are?
Yes, we do, and this is very, very exciting. So the next one will be the hands-on map. So this is where your question mark, the hands-on map. So these are all the properties that we went through from the previous page, and that's the map. So if you click on, say, this property in Queensland, Terra Australis, it gets you to that location. Boom. And
Excellent.
and so people can see their lands and property plotted on the GPS global system. And just to give you an idea of the level of participation, I'll just zoom out. Give me a second. That's updating.
Wow, just that alone in the last couple of months, yeah.
Yeah, it's almost forming like at Terra Australis with the shape.
This is attracting hundreds of people a week now. So
yeah, so there's hundreds. So these are all those individual, people's lands. Like all that. Look how much is in Victoria. In Queensland, heaps. A lot of people knowing the tricks and the lies now. So it's very strong.
this is global. It's not just Australia, is it?
No. I haven't go across the other side yet. Some in New Zealand.
Okay.
If I go across, Asia needs a bit of work. So you've got over here as well. See, this is a global log. Okay, and some in America.
Some in America. There should be hundreds in America because that's where most people, are working with us, as it were.
Yeah, got America needs a bit of work. But they're streaming in. There's more Americans and Canadians getting onto the log. I think the word's getting through.
The level of shadow banning is quite profound, even to an IP address. They are controlling this type of information from getting out, the information that I'm giving to the Canadians. They even brought in academics to try to comply with the government, as it were, and I got very, very upset when I heard that they sent in that academic, this professor, as it were. I don't want to name them. It sits horrible in my stomach because the centralized way that people, the governments, the corporations, and the banks have lied to people is nothing more than to say it's 100% lie. And they bring in so many people because they can just print off the money and just pay them. And because they got the trust of the people, they are now in a position to abuse that trust. Yeah. And what I'm saying to you guys, directly and indirectly, listen to your own minds and hearts. You don't need to go to other people to find inspiration. You are the inspiration. Most of these academics and talk show hosts, they have never done anything in their lives. We have. We've gone through all this journey to be here doing what it is. So don't give up. You don't want to give up your dreams to academics that never done anything in their lives. yeah,
Mm.
or talk show host, that you've got the whole of YouTube, you've got Facebook and all, make use of it, yeah. Spread this information. I mean, quite literally in the last few months, hundreds of people have come to us, and we're like 2-3 weeks behind in logging people in,
Yeah.
So look,
It's very encouraging to see people having great feedback on this log, and they absolutely love it. They say that this is fantastic. And this goes hand in hand with the next topic. I believe you're going to talk about mortgages in the large on a global scale. So I'll let you
yeah.
introduce that topic.
So it's a straightforward one, and it's a straightforward logging system. And
Yeah.
in addition to that, the titles of the properties are being purposely withheld from people and given the runaround, and that's the only thing that they might have challenge to. So it's like, you buy a car, but the seller is giving you the runaround about handing over the paperwork, as it were, and you have to chase him up. Am I paraphrasing that correctly?
Yes. Because of all the procedure and hurdles that they purposely put in place to frustrate the people wanting to do this. And I believe in my heart that they know that something is being done. And so because people are asking, lots of people not even going through this log are asking about it, because they hear something's not right. Something doesn't seem right when they start to revenue things into the digital. Because once you read the fine print and read between the lines, you know that you're being screwed. So yeah, this is how we do it. This is I think this is a great system. I have to thank the IT team behind this. I do not take the full credit for this, and there's a lot of work involved behind the scene to get the database cleaned and correct. Because sometimes some of the restaurant do a duplication and they muff things up. So we go through a series of checks and balances to make sure that every one of these that's been logged is correct.
I have a question. Okay. Say I'm renting a house that doesn't really belong to me, but I've been living there for over a year. Does that mean I can take over that house or flat?
No.
So cheaters can't get in, pretending that they.
No.
We have fail safes, yeah.
Fail safe, because we check what they make the claim on. So when that's why on the questionnaire there's a section that gives the people like lots of description that they can write, and we actually verify and check that. So if we find any perjuries and lying in here, strikes off. We won't, that's not going to be tolerated.
Because in the world of fiction, we have double spend, don't we? People, banks and everything selling properties to that which they don't own to multiple people. And then they wake up and say, hey, I own that house. No, I own it. No, I own it. And the banks have sold one property to half a dozen people. And the system is rigged up to facilitate criminal activity, and of course, the corrupt courts are the ones that facilitate this. And I'm going to ask everybody on this, on listening to this, there is nothing stopping you from printing out a crime scene like they do, with rubbish dumped on the seats and things like that. Print out a red label on your printer called crime scene, and you can witness it, and stick it into the court building's door, because the court buildings are criminal scenes. They're scenes of criminality. You can quite literally go up to courthouse and stick that notice in. on the door, on the pillars, or whatever it is, whether in any country in the world, you need to do that. It's a criminal scene. And have those things readily printed out. I'll put it on my website. Yeah, you download it and you just stick it onto the door of who you are saying is a criminal. You can do that to your governments, your home office, to the so-called presidents, to the police station. You can put it on there that this is a criminal scene. Crime has taken place and it's a crime scene. Yeah, you can do that to anybody and anything. And the banks. You can actually go print these things out called, it's like crime scene, stop and correct. You can just print it out and paste it. Yeah, paste it without causing vandalism, obviously. You can just simply paste it onto the door saying this is a crime scene. And essentially everybody should be doing that. Yeah, because there are criminals. If they're withholding their money, your money, then that's a crime scene. Yeah, if they're lying to you, then that's a crime scene. And they have no business being in your land. Yeah, look, ladies and gentlemen, I was talking about, a couple of weeks ago, about religion and faith and so on and so forth. And I didn't know it because I'm just kind of blurting it out. And Hugh and one of the other judges, they were completely shocked at what I said. I wasn't shocked because I knew this like for dozens of years, The point I'm making is that when you kind of grasp how powerful and how widespread crime is and how you're being lied to cover that crime up, that's when the shock value of the things that I know and we know comes alive. I will give you an example. If you go to any Church of England, it will not have a cross on it. Because a Church of England is never a place of what you think it is. A Church of England has always been, previous to about 160 years, was always a treasury. It was the treasury where people put their money in of gold, silver and copper as a faith for purposes of trust. That's what the Church of England is. But even if the language is so corrupt, people don't even know what the church is. I mean, look, Hugh, you go to church. You're a Christian. Do you know what the church is?
Some people believe a church is that building that houses the people who fellowship. But the church that I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, is a body of like-minded faithful people.
That's under presumption and assumption. So because that's how you have chosen to define that word. But that word, under legality, the word church, means it's the property of a lord.
Okay, see, that's why I get shocked all the time.
You get shocked all the time. All the time. Previously, they were not known as Church of Englands, but that was the treasury building, like the one in Walthamadi. That was the treasury building where people put their money in for safeguarding. And guess what? That's where the original logs were for public display, including books. So when a baby was born, they would log that in, that baby's name and the father and the mother, so the whole world can see that John with Jane had a baby called James. And the property address and everything was logged in. And that was a free log. Yeah. But when it was overtaken, they took custody of that log, saying that log now belongs to us because you handed it over to us. And since we created the serial numbers, that belongs to us. Yeah, that was called a log. And in those places were books where you could read as well, and also do fellowship, as it were. Fellowship means a ship. It was a vessel in dry dock. Yeah. So Why am I telling you this? Why am I telling you this? I have a vast tray of knowledge how the bureaucracy of facts work and the bureaucracy of how corruption works. As a result, I'm able to navigate in and out of it very easily for me. And in addition to that, you see, these people that you openly trusted, the courts, the Church of England, the Anglican Church, all these people robbed you of all of these things by revenuing these names. Yeah. And they got you to now buy death pledges. You would have to be dead to buy a death pledge. Alfred, do you want to buy a death pledge?
No, not that I know. What I know now, no, certainly not.
You don't want one? You don't want to sell me one?
No, not interested.
I'll give it to you for free.
Not interested.
It doesn't want a death pledge. But look, it sounds like a game, doesn't it? But if you're a man...
Mark. You said, I want to give you a death pledge for free. That's an oxymoron. I got to pick you up on that. You slipped that one in real quick. That's a fast one.
Still not interested.
So, it's a death pledge. Death is never free. It's painful.
Just a thought that sometimes you see the church needs a new roof, and
Right.
you can see the corruption now, just like the charities are corrupt. That they actually get you to pay for to renovate the Lord's house. So there you are. It's all corrupt.
Yeah, and that's
Wow.
what the Heritage Society was set up to do, Conservation's Heritage Society. So you would fix the rich people's houses for free. All they had to do is register it as a
Non-profit
heritage
organisation.
site.
Heritage or
Yeah,
charity.
non-profitable organization as a heritage site. And then the general working class people that work in the factories, the lorry drivers, have to pay to have the Lord's house fixed.
Yeah.
Well, Mark, my own experience here is that a lot of churches now are incorporated, which makes it more dead than ever before, And, if you just look at the pandemic, what we've gone through, they comply with the narrative. So, I know that they've been controlled. And so this is just an extension of
Yeah.
just circling in the people who might think that they're free in the faith or whatever, but they
Yeah.
also get robbed
So-
in as well.
Yeah, indeed. So correct words would be things like house of faith. This is a gathering of faith. That sort of stuff. So people need to take ownership of what their words that they use and the cursives that they go into. And because of that, the entire world can come to us to remove their death pledges, their mortgages. We have the ability to eliminate these things because you cannot have a death pledge. That's why a live life claim is so important, because it proves on bureaucratic paperwork that you're not lost and dead at sea, and that you are not a dead entity, then that you are not incorporated or corporated, and that you are not the property of somebody else, and that you are not under the coroner's table. And that's what we are able to do, and they can come to us. Do they have to pay their own way? Absolutely, they need to pay their own way. Yeah. Because people want everything for free. Can you imagine? I actually have emails saying, hey, why can't you do this for us for free? You would actually ask me to work for 1 year, because that's how long it takes us to do these things, for 1 year, and you don't even compensate me? That's called entitlement. And the lords and these psychopaths and narcissists and these incorporated governments, that's how they feel that you owe them everything, because they feel entitled to your children, because your children are ward estate, your homes, your properties, your cars, the air that you breathe. They feel that they are entitled to all of this and that you should pay for that entitlement. And they set up bureaucratic mechanisms under your nose, not realizing you have just completely refurbished a Lord's house that lives in total luxury, including his butler's training and things like that. And not only that, you have facilitated the kidnapping of your own children. You know, I look, what's the trick in the language? Okay. When you say children, what does it mean? It means ward of state. So I'm going to ask you a question. Just give me a straight answer. Hugh, how many kids do you have?
No, I wouldn't call them kids.
No, just give me a straight answer because we need to play this game out for the public.
I have 3 offsprings.
You have 3 kids. How many kids do you have?
I have 2.
You have 2 kids. I mean, in all innocence, when you tick that box, you have 3 kids. You basically saying that you have 3 offsprings of Baphomet. Kid means baby goat. You know, what we used to think of as a term of endearment for our babies, because baby goats have got so much energy. It's just wonderful to see them watch them play. But when you put it in legality, you're basically saying that your children that are ward of state are also the children of Baphomet, Baal, yeah, Beelzebub, that sort of stuff. So the trick of the language is how they sold the entire world's population with death pledges. So if people are in any doubt as to how powerful this word game is, it's powerful enough for a bank that's a dead entity to sell you a death pledge and use your name as a security for the Securities and Exchange Commission that buy your security. And if you ever wondered why the stock market always collapses or individual companies always collapse in the stock market every 7 years, it's because that's the level of bankruptcy. 7-year bankruptcy. In biblical terms, it's 7 years of plenty and 7 years of hardship. Because the Jewish banking system does not hold sin or debt for more than 7 years. If I owe you something for 7 years, you're going to come to me in 7 years saying, look, Mark, obviously you're having trouble. Yeah. So I can't accept anything else from you. So I forgive your debt. I forgive your what you owe me. And that's how they go about life.
Yep.
Yeah. And they use that wonderful banking system that the Jews set up as a form of corruption. And that's why they have jubilees and stuff like that. Jubilee is a Jewish principle. It means to forgive your neighbor's debt. Yeah. So if I owe you £50 and I'm having trouble paying it back over 7 years, and I've gone past that, you have to automatically forgive me. And the Jews took over the banking system to protect people. And I get angry because the arseholes, oh, I swore, which means I've gone into cursive. People just simply don't understand. And what they do is they vent, like I'm venting. They vent their stupidity at things that they do not understand. They don't understand that the Jewish people set it up in such a way that you are not kept in servitude and in debt pledge for more than 7 years. Yeah, called the forgiveness of sin. You know, the Christians, and I'm using it as a faith word, do it every year. So if Hugh is a Christian, so if I owe him £50 and after 1 year, Hugh is just going to write it off. He's just going to say, look, Mark, you can't carry this type of sin on your shoulders. It's going to hurt you. Yeah, it's going to hurt you. You've done your best to pay me back, and I've understood that. But in my faith, I can't hold you in bondage like that, so I'm going to write it off. And Islam also has the same thing, and that's part of shukuk law. But the mosque are not teaching shukuk law, because if once you utter it, once you initiate these fail-safes, they have to write off what they never even had to begin with. Yeah, but because the human population is so screwed up that they fall for everything. They would even fall for an academic out of Canada that's been on the BBC time and time again called Question Time. They would ask counsel from him. This guy's going to ask you to do compliance work. Yeah, but they'll sound so very nice in your ears. Please look, ladies and gentlemen, I'm almost in a begging state, as it were, because 2 years ago I nearly witnessed that the earth was actually going to be held in under ransom from all the pollution that they were pumping in, which luckily the Titans have cleared up, by just simply spraying atomized salt in the atmosphere to clean up the pollution, because it ionizes the atmosphere. And 2 years later, we've got a beautiful clean ocean, a beautiful clean sky that I have not seen. How long is the last time we saw a crystal clear sky?
It's a good 30, 40 years.
Yeah. Now we've got the color of blue. Even though this is the landlocked system, knock on a Jewish man's door and say to him, my friend, can you teach me how banking works, or what Jubilee is and things like that? And they'll do it for you, but you have to be persistent, because they're not going to waste your time with you. Go to a Muslim man's house and ask him to teach you about shukuk law. Go to a Christian's man who knows what he's talking about to say why is it every year? Because every year is when they set it, and that's called the Gregorian calendar. But the Catholic Church took over it, and they keep you in a perpetual state of servitude, because calendar means a book of debtors. Yeah. But people don't get what the Lord's Prayer is, and it angers me. Yeah, it angers me. Yeah.
Just add an aside when you're finished.
Yeah, I've finished.
Well, Mark, what about the Queen's Platinum Jubilee this year? We're going to celebrate that with 4 days bank holiday, aren't we?
That's
what's wrong with that?
Okay, so he's asked it as a trick. So I'll explain it to you this way. He's the king, okay, or the queen. He's the queen. The queen has no sovereignty. In other words, it has no money of its own. Okay, even though we know what the word sovereignty means, it has no freedom of its own. So what it does, it takes security instruments to securitize her position. In other words, she's the debtor. And who is the creditor? The nation is the creditor. That's me, individually, through my taxation system, through my national insurance, as well as other contributions, including VAT, value added tax, through the council tax. I'm actually directly paying her, giving her credit. But she has to pay that credit back in all good faith if she has it, which she has. She has to show faith. So what she does, she reverses it in the people's minds. She gets you to celebrate they make it sound as if you are the debtor. She's the debtor. Okay. So she'll say, you are the debtor, and we're going to celebrate the forgiveness of debt. You understand? So what she's basically doing is getting you to think that you are celebrating the forgiveness of debt. But who is the debtor?
She is.
She is. Who's the creditor?
We are.
You and me.
So if I forgive her debt, what have I done?
You just let her off the hook.
I've just let her off the hook.
Again.
And that happened in the 1970s. That happened under the silver. Now it's a gold
silver,
and now platinum. You understand what I'm saying? God save the Queen and the fascist regime is how and why Richard Branson got himself a sirhood. Because he tricked the people in forgiving the debt of the Queen and the governments. They are the debtors. We are the creditors. That's supposed to return. Yeah, but they give you all sorts of nonsensical type talk, like, they found this oil in North Sea. Every man in England is going to be rich, but you don't have an English passport. Your passport is British and it's United Kingdom. They said every Englishman would be. Everybody in England would become a multi-millionaire. Yes, they are from North Sea oil, but you are not English. Look at your passport. There is nothing to say that you're English. It all says British, 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 United Kingdom. So you have no claim to land, no claim to mineral rights, no claim to your offspring. And offspring is also an oxymoron, by the way, Hugh.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's switch off the spring, shall we? That's what it means. Okay.
Off the spring.
Look, there's nothing wrong with Baphomet. There's nothing wrong with Christianity, Jesus, and all these things. There's nothing wrong with Muhammad, Islam, and all these sort of things. There's nothing wrong with it. They just got to know what it means. But people don't know. If every Muslim on this planet knew what Shukuk law was, Saudi Arabia will go bankrupt overnight, because the people are the creditors to that royal family.
Yes.
You know, look, ladies and gentlemen, you cannot have a death pledge on this planet. Not in the period that we're in, which is the corona period. I've educated you on what the coroner does. What does the word? Do you remember what the word coroner means, Hugh?
Well, coroner's part of that word. Coroner is part of the coronation, the crown. You know.
And what are we going to celebrate? A coronation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, crowning
And what
moment.
does crowning moment?
Yeah.
And what does? And what
You
does
want to ask me
corona
what the
mean?
coroner do?
What does corona mean? It means coroner. What does coroner mean? It means crown. What does a coronation means? It means a celebration of a crown, which is your crown. That crown is supposed to return back to you. If you don't get it, if you know, you got to get it, because I'm explaining it in 50, 60 different ways.
Yeah.
This is, this is how we go about in this world. Yeah. We have our own life force, which the Crown incorporated it out of the City of London, and the coronation, all this is sucking the life out of people. People think Jewish banking is some sort of an evil thing, that the evil Jews are going to come and get you. You stupid people, man. You goddamn stupid people. Shut your mouths and listen to what I'm saying. The Jews set up this banking system so you don't get stuck in it, that you are not in a perpetual state of slave to a lord. Understand it. You don't want to be listening to half-wits like Alex Jones, who has now got a replacement. Yeah, who's now got a replacement, and he's at it as well. And he'll screw you up if you keep listening to him. Okay? Look, I get very passionate at times, and I get very angry, because I personally think I'm not getting the message across. I basically think that, I've made you a wonderful cup of tea, but you're not drinking from it. The cup overflows from the Federal Postal Court and its judges and my studentship. The students and the tricks and traps. All of this is flowing out of me, but I don't see anybody really drinking from it. Yes, I've got like 76,000 subscribers and naturally grown on my YouTube. What is it? 7 million people worldwide reach. These people are wonderful, but they're not even 1% of the world's population. Millions of people needs to know this, what the coronation means. Why is it Hugh knows this? Because he's not willing to accept the word of other people unless he's qualified it. Why does he know about the coronation? The coronation is about the Queen trying to steal your corona. When Jesus was born, he was born with a glow around his head. That's what they're after, your life force. I'll give you an example. Say this represented, this card here. Say this card here represented 1 week. Sorry about that. 1 week of my wages, okay, which means it's a gamble. Wages mean gamble. Let's imagine 1 week of me working for this card, whatever is on this card, okay? I'll put it in my pocket here. I put it in my pocket. I'll fall asleep on the train and somebody nicks this card. They've essentially stolen 1 week of my life. And that's what the coronation is about. They're not going to steal 1 week of your life. They're going to try to steal your whole life to recontract with them. Every single one of you listening to this should be now sending a crime scene leaflet, which they can print out, which I'll put on my website, and send it to Buckingham Palace and anywhere else you want. Yeah, put it in a first class envelope, go to the post office, say you want proof of post, and they'll give you a receipt for it, to Buckingham Palace or any one of these places, Parliament, courts, or whatever it is, crime scene. Stop and correct. Yes, sir.
Just coming back to the crown, you can see this depicted on paintings and stained glass windows in the churches. The crown, the glow around the figure Jesus' head. But sometimes you look on the internet and they put it down to being sun worship or something like that, which is hiding the fact of really what it is. It's the life energy.
Your subconscious mind, your subconscious mind can see that life force, but it can't see it if it's got a death pledge. Your spirit can see that, but you can't see it if it's got a death pledge because you volunteered to surrender it. Look, this is called symbolic language, what I'm about to teach you. And I have a complete and utter mastery when it comes to symbolic language. This is not to say I'm the master of symbolic language, but I know how it works. I will now give you this what it is, okay, what it means. You see, when they crucified what we call Jesus, you know, that symbolic representation of what a perfect man is, as it were. When they crucified him, they did something. What they're doing, and it's symbolic language, okay? It's not a physical crucifixion. There's no blood involved. What they're saying is that we have found a way of taking Jesus's glow, his corona, away from him, and then placing on top of his head a thorny crown made and woven out of dead hawthorn bushes. They're basically saying, we've taken your life force and we're going to give you an artificial crown that will hurt you and cut you and bleed you into for the rest of your, not life, but for all of eternity. That's what that symbolic crown is. They're saying we've found a way of stealing your crown, your corona, your life force. And we're going to symbolize that by giving you a horny, thorn crown of artificiality. Yeah. I know symbolic language to the point where I can decipher it in movies and so on and so forth at thousands of times a second. I have that capacity. I've always had that capacity as a child. Yeah. Full stop. Why am I telling you this? It's the symbols that walked you into those places of church. It's the symbols that walked you into these places without you knowing what they mean. Yeah. Your job as a Christian should be able to release Jesus from his pledge, because saying, hey, bro, I'm okay. You don't need to sacrifice yourself. Come down. You know, let me breathe some life back into you. You know, let me take this thorn off of your head and throw it away. And let me give you some of my glory, some of my crown, my corona to you to bring you back to life. But don't keep him in a perpetual state of death, because that's what they're doing to you. They're saying it is honorable to self-sacrifice to that piece of dog feces calling itself the coronation. Don't ever allow them to do that to you. Don't ever allow them to sell you a death pledge. You are men and women. Move and talk like men and women. I don't have anything else to say here.
Yeah, I think you've said quite a bit today, with all the, like we were just talking about landlog and it sort of comes on to coronation.
Because
But I
these
think it's
things
all
were
connected. They're all connected. They're all interwoven in this web of lies and perjuries and exploitation.
I mean, look, just think about it. You as a Christian, what have they successfully got you to do? They got you to keep Jesus in a perpetual state of death and suffering. And because of that, they're able to steal your lands, because the symbolic language tells you you should sacrifice your lands to the queen as well. They created these types of grotesque symbolisms. You purge yourself from it. You are a man and you are a woman. You don't need anybody to self-sacrifice for you. You wasn't born in sin. And that's part of this landlord system. For me, this is like a spiritual journey. Yes, it's something physical that you do, but it's to be able to say to mankind, I want to be able to give life back to the very thing that is the epicenter, the most perfect representation in my mind of what man is, Jesus. That's me. That's personal to me. I want to be able to say, I don't want you to do this. Yeah, don't do it. Let's celebrate life together. You don't need to save me. I've got enough energy to give you energy because you're an honorable man. But when they get you to do that to that man, they've essentially destroyed the image that you have of what perfection is. What is he? The best teacher. What is he? The best husband. They get him to even get you to believe he died a virgin. Why am I speaking about these religious things? Because in the Americas, in the England, France, and all these sort of things, they got you to believe, they got the general public to believe you have to do the same thing. Instead, become plenipotentiary judges, educate people. Yeah? Life is a beautiful celebration. The man that you have and the world has of a perfect representation of what manhood is in the form of Jesus is done in life, not in death. It's done in life. Yeah, in life, not in his death. You guys understand what I'm saying? Your houses are yours. And your lands are yours. Your babies are yours. Your car is yours. But if you keep believing the end result of perfection is to get yourself crucified, the symbolisms in your mind will walk you into that position of always giving up your crown, your glory to the coroner, and the coroner hands it to the coronation. Yeah. I don't know what else to say. Yes, it's a landlog. Yes, it took us many years to put it together. And it's faith, but we're allowing people to come back to life and to think in terms of life, in terms of thinking of things in ownership, not in a state of mortuary, where the coroner, who is a lawyer, most countries of the world, the coroner, which should be a medical position, is a lawyer, stealing your life force, your ability to contract on paper, keeping you dead on paper so you can't make any claims. Look, everybody in Ireland knows who I am. Please print out a leaflet saying crime scene in red and stick it onto the doors of your police stations, into your courtrooms, into your so-called government offices, which are all foreign to you. The Garda does not work for you, the people. It works for the crown. But if you take your crown back, who do you think they're going to work for? If you take back your crown, your glory, your coroner, if you're going to take back your coronation, who do you think the guard is now going to protect? The Queen? Or they're going to protect you? If you put a crime scene in these courthouses, including the Supreme Court, and you can use my face to say the Chief Federal Postal Court judge said we should do this because they're criminal scenes working in fiction. With your police stations, you write it out, print it out in red, crime scene, stop and correct. You paste it in. You've already served them notice. You've already taken back your crown. Your lands are yours. Your property is yours. That's a contract. That's like you serving notice to people. That's what they're doing to you, but you're not doing it to them. Pick up your laptop, print it out. Crime scene. In red. Stop and correct. Put a date on it. An expiry date. If you want to autograph it, not signature. You will shut that pathetic corporate government down overnight. That's all it takes. Look, an A4 piece of paper. Okay, A4 piece of paper. Print it out. Crime scene in red, all capitals. That's maritime for shout. Stop and correct. That's maritime for a shout. That means, hey, stop. Put it on there in the court buildings, in the police stations, in the coroner's place. Send it to them by registered post or first class post, but keep proof of post. Yeah. Look, there is 1,000,001 things you can do. And I'm giving it out to you fast as I can. All right. Sitting still will cost you your life. Because sitting still is called a cadaver. Your inability to move and do these things gives them more evidence that you're a cadaver. So, for me, the land log is me giving back what is people's. All right, that's what that is. Sorry to get personal and emotional again. I don't know how to explain it, The passivity of people frightens me at times.
I think it's getting better. I think, more and more,
that it is.
like a rock, you're smashing the rock, and then eventually there will be a little crack, and then you keep smashing it. Eventually it will open. So, it is very tiring saying it, over and over, and it seems like there's nothing getting through, but it is getting through.
It is, because the Canadians have proven that. I suppose I get frustrated because for me, it's like it should be done overnight. Because look, if a man or a baby is left in servitude and in pain, they're now suffering minute by minute until I do something about it. If a man has got a slave necklace around his neck and I don't do anything about it, he gets poked to death hundreds of times per second even. And he's waiting for me to do something about it because he's been incapacitated. So what I'm saying, look, there's a huge Muslim population out there. What did Muhammad do for Barca? He was a slave, and Barca was his friend. And when he was in trouble, when the slave master beat him so badly, he intervened and he bought him out and gave him his freedom because he was incapacitated. I'm okay with these things, and it should be done. But what I'm saying is that if you guys allow me to do all of these things for you again and again and again, all you're doing is just living off my life energy. I've given you how to do it. Get on with it. Do it in your millions. Everybody in Ireland, in every country in the world that's listening to me. Is there something stopping you from printing out that leaflet? That small A4. Crime scene, stop and correct. Put your autograph, thumbprint it, copyright, copy claim. Put a postage stamp on it if you want to get technical. Paste it on every bank door. Send it to the coronation in your millions. In your millions.
I think sometimes people wait until it's something personal to have a reaction to something. It's always waiting for your neighbour or looking for someone else to take the lead and all that, because we're in such a fear system that people have become accustomed to wait for the government, wait for this to be done, and so forth. So by putting out these broadcasts, let's say, on a probably, well, it takes effort on your part and the judges, but on a continual basis, so at some point, people, the ones that are more awake, will get it. And it's even with our own sons and daughters, you know, sometimes you can tell them a bit of advice. They won't listen until they actually experience it, and then they get the lesson.
Good point, Alpha. Yeah.
So, I would like to end this on a note. Canadians, thank you very much. Canadian truckers, Freedom Convoy, thank you very much. You've inspired me. You've inspired me to keep strong. If you guys want to come to me for any aid, I'll do that. If you need money, I'll support you. If you want counsel on how the law system works, I'll support you. If you want the ability to stop and correct your entire government, which is de facto, by the way, in principle, and you're part of the current Commonwealth, and therefore they're going to try to steal your glory again, your crown. If you need help, just contact me, and I can set these things up in a matter of days. Feel free to come to me in your thousands. I'm able to capacitate that because I have staff. Okay? Hugh, Alpha, thank you very much. And Hugh, thank you very much for the land log. It's, I would like to say it's an act of faith, but that's acting, but it's pure faith. And thank you very much. And I think the world is going to be even more beautiful than I ever imagined. Canadians, this is dedicated to you. Thank you for the inspiration. Bye-bye.
Bye, Hugh.
Bye-bye, Alpha. Bye-bye, Mark.
Bye, Hugh. You can't go yet. Just give me a few minutes, please.